Today I'm going to talk about multifamily house hacking and go over the 6 reasons it can be a great way to get started with investing in real estate. I'm really excited about this idea because this is exactly how I bought my first property in 1990. House hacking isn't for everybody because it involves some delayed gratification. But for the right person, this can be a life-changing discovery. If you want to get more great tips about real estate investing in small multifamily properties, please subscribe to my channel now. So what is house hacking? House hacking is simply a term used when someone buys a property, usually 1 to 4 units, and rents out a room or some of the units to try to offset some of the monthly payment. For today's video, we're going to focus on 2 to 4 unit properties. The first reason to multifamily house hack is the lower down payment. The down payment for a non-owner occupied multifamily property using conforming financing is 25% down plus closing costs. Assuming a $500,000 purchase price, that means coming up with $125,000 plus closing costs. For an owner-occupied multifamily loan, the down payment can be as little as 3.5%, which is about $17,500 in this example, plus closing costs. For a veteran purchaser, you can use your VA loan with 0 down plus closing costs as long as you own or occupy the unit. Reason number 2 to multifamily house hack is the lower cost of living. Let's face it, with today's prices and interest rates, payments aren't cheap. For illustrative purposes, let's take a quick look at a possible scenario I recently calculated for one of my clients who was considering buying a single family home. The price was $400,000 and the payment with 3.5% down was about $3,328. Then we took a look at a $540,000 duplex with the other side rented at $1,745. After backing out the rent from the payment, the remaining payment was $2,446. When you're ready to get started, we will run a detailed scenario for you with all the cost and the payments, including an APR. So this is a way to own now with a bit lower payment while enjoying all the other benefits I will describe. The next reason to multifamily house hack number 3 is a better interest rate. Typically, the interest rate for an owner-occupied multifamily property is typically about 0.25% lower than a non-owner-occupied multifamily property. If rates come down in the future, you can refinance to have an even bigger cost saving. Reason number 4 to multifamily house hack is equity buildup. Each month, you pay off a small part of the loan balance and build equity. For each month that goes by, a slightly larger portion of the payment goes to paying off the equity. This equity buildup is magnified by the fact that you control 100% of the investment and the capital appreciation of the property with as little as 3.5% down initial investment. This is kind of like buying stock on margin, but with no margin calls. If a $500,000 property appreciates only 3% in that year, the equity buildup would be about $15,000 plus the principal paid off through amortization of the loan. In this example, nearly your entire down payment is gained in equity in just 1 year. Now, the property may go down in value in some years, but one thing we know is that if you make 360 payments without refinancing, the property will be owned free and clear. Reason number 6 to multifamily house hack is probably the most exciting of all the reasons. You can value add through rent control loopholes for owner-occupied properties in California. In California, rent control is here to stay, and in most areas, we have the statewide rent control that covers most 2 to 4 unit properties. And in some local jurisdictions, we have an even more stringent rent control law. It is very important to understand these laws and the exclusions for owner-occupied investors. I urge you to read them completely and to even seek advice from a good real estate attorney. This is where it gets really interesting. Have you ever heard the term, one man's trash is another man's treasure? As I analyze investment properties daily, I come across properties with rents that are as much as 60% under fair market value. Rent control, depending on the jurisdiction, will not allow a non-owner occupant investor to raise the rent more than somewhere between 5 and 10% per year, no matter how far under market these rents are. This makes this type of property a very poor choice for a traditional non-owner occupied investor, because it would take a decade to get the rents up to fair market value. Because of the low rent control trap, these properties will typically sell for 5 to 15% discount. As an owner occupant, you have the right to vacate a unit of a tenant who is on a month-to-month tenancy with a property notice or at the end of their lease and move into that unit. You also have a right to vacate units under the same circumstances if one of your blood relatives, children's parents, grandparents, grandchildren occupy the second unit. Again, you need to make sure you and your attorney have carefully reviewed all the rent control rules in your jurisdiction before proceeding. Armed with this information, we can now target units with one unit vacant and one at a very low rent, or with both units at a very low rent to get a much better price. In this example, you would rent the vacant unit at fair market value and move into the unit that is well below market value. You could do the same with the property with 2 units well below market by having a qualifying relative move into the second unit, or by moving into the first unit, fixing it up, and eventually moving into the second unit to fix it up later. Over time, by fixing up both units and getting the rents up, if you decide to sell, you will have created some real equity. This is one time a small investor has a big advantage over a non-owner occupied investor. In summary, there are all types of properties that may work for multifamily house hacking. Don't assume that there is not some very nice properties that could potentially work, including bigger 3-bedroom units and properties in upper end neighborhoods, or in some cases, multiple houses on one lot. So with house hacking a multifamily property, you have an opportunity to get in with less down payment, enjoy a lower cost of living, have a better interest rate than a non-owner occupied investor loan, gain equity buildup through principal reduction and property appreciation, have a greater cash flow over time, and lastly, the unique opportunity to value add using the rent control exclusion for owner-occupied properties. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. You can also scan the QR code on the screen to see a list of currently available multifamily properties in the Sacramento market that may work for house hacking. Additionally, you can look down below for a link to those same properties. If you'd like to see more videos on how you can invest in Sacramento multifamily properties, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.